Welcome to the DTC Blueprint podcast, where we uncover the real secrets behind high performance marketing. No fluff, just powerful strategies to ignite explosive growth for e commerce brands. Today, we're focusing on Facebook ads for DTC brands in 2025 and proven strategies to help you scale, keep your profits up, and stand out from the cutthroat competition. Joining us today is Kostas, a seasoned marketer who has spent the past 10 years scaling brands to first order profitability through impactful social media ads, in managing personally more than 10 million in ad spend. We'll talk about Advantage Plus, creative testing framework, AI for ads, account structures, and the biggest mistakes to avoid, and more. Kostas, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Yassine, for inviting me to the podcast. Super happy to be here and very, very honored.
Absolutely. It's also a really pleasure to have you here. And I think our listeners will really enjoy this episode and will get a lot of value from it. You're someone who is super knowledgeable about what he's doing. You're very creative, very methodological. So I think people will really enjoy this podcast and will get a lot of value into it. Great. So maybe before we dive into the technical parts and really the nitty gritty of things, maybe can you tell us a bit more about your background, about yourself? What got you into the media buyer?
Definitely. So I'm working in the space as a media buyer and now as a growth strategist for the last, I believe, 9 to 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I started with the good old days of drop shipping, kind of like just try to spend my money to make some money. But so I started like my own drop shipping stores, like learn about meta ads in general, Facebook ads back then. And, at what point I was felt that I wasn't like good enough to run ads. So I joined an agency. And, after that, I joined like a local like media buying agency and, learned how to do ads. But I never looked back to drop shipping because I kind of like I just felt more like I want to learn more. I want to learn more. I want to learn like what ads are working for different industries, and so that got me hooked up. And
That's a very similar story to mine. Like this is how I got into Facebook ads. I also started my local shop here, not dropshipping, but actually getting physical products. Sometimes getting it from China. So very similar story. And then like I really fell in love with just the process in marketing, and wanted just to learn more and learn more.
Yeah. I mean, it's like people in marketing, they're just curious, right? Like they just want to learn more, and it's kind of like that dopamine rush when you just try to learn and you get bits of it, and then you just try to learn a little bit more.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's just the nature.
Exactly. There's some people who love to learn. I think if you're not someone who love to learn, this field is not for you. It's going to be really hard for you because it's changing every day. Every day there's something new. With the craze of AI, also it's getting even crazier. It's a tough thing. You need to love what you're doing and you need to love to learn. You really enjoy the learning process. And I think our first point of contact was like in whole design, an agency that we worked together. So that was a first start. And I think then we branched out into different fields. Then you really skyrocketed your career in Facebook ads.
Good old days, like I've learned so much from all designs as well, from all the buyers there too, from you as well. And it's just like that's also like what's really good about an agency is that you're working with people and you're interacting with people every day, and everybody just needs to share their ideas.
Yeah, exactly. I remember one thing very vividly in our interactions from back then. We had a very different philosophical like approach to it. You were very intuitive, like into treating things. Really, you get into your approach. You really get into it, and you decide, okay, this is good, this is not good. While I am on the other side of the mindset, like I need to see numbers. I need to know exactly when to turn this off, when to turn it on. It's more sciencey if you want. Although in marketing, like it's not a real science. It's a more of an art combination of it. But I think because of my background in engineering, that's still stuck with me. Like I need to see the numbers. I need to know, is it like 3x CPA? Is it like 2? When to turn off? But your approach is more flexible, which allows you really to move on the fly, like really move on the fly, and you can, I'd say, like really solve problems. I think in the ad account as they appear very fast. So that's a really good point.
It is like both philosophies, like they have their pros and cons, right? And it's
Exactly.
yeah, it's both are good and bad depending on the situation.
Exactly. There's really no right thing. As you said, we're not building rockets here.
Exactly.
We're buying media in Facebook ads. So it's different, and even like within the same like e-commerce space, it's very different from niche to niche. It's
Yeah.
very different from the here and there, like from very different between, for example, fashion and food industry and whatever. It's very different.
Completely different, man.
And after we went apart from the agency, you then started working on other agencies as head of department. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah,
How
so
was the difference in experience from going to solo operator into managing more of the teams and owning a department? How was that experience?
yeah, so definitely a completely different ball game. When you start managing people, you need, like you said, like your approach in media buying fits better to essentially like like pass the knowledge to different people, because you need to teach them, right? And you need to tell them, like, you need to
Exactly.
give them specific guidelines on where to pause, where to increase, and when to
Correct.
downscale. And so what I've tried to do was I really just try to get my own methodology, my own intuition, and just get it into some sort of framework. But it's still like, it's very hard to, and it's still hard. Like I'm still figuring things out. But like managing now, like a lot of different media buyers, a lot of different personalities as well, right? The personality also makes it's like a
Exactly. Well, yes,
it's very different to you need to have different managing approach for different personalities, but
absolutely.
it's good, like I'm also learning from them. And now we've grown, like we've managed over, like I believe, like 60 or 70 ad accounts.
Wow.
Yeah, we've found like a lot of good legacy clients through those accounts. We've spent a lot of money in ads. Some of the clients, they are just now reaching 8 figures in spend from
Amazing.
8 figures in revenue from really low 7 figures. Some of them are growing to mid 7 figures from bootstrapping. It's a really amazing experience, and you get to see a lot of different growth stages of brands, which is really nice.
That's really great. That's really great. That's really great job, and to see that progress with you and Carbon Box, it's really amazing that you really
And a lot of
achieved that.
failures too, right? Like a lot of failures too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's the road to success is paved with failures and many trials and errors. That's the only way to success. Like you cannot really succeed without any failures. That is expected. That is expected. Well, that's great. That's great. Switching gears a bit, now we'll switch to the technical part. Maybe that's what we fell in love with at the start of this whole journey, is really the technical things of it, like how to really optimize, now to get an account like from 1 ROAS to 10 ROAS or something. That's really the beauty of it. That's right. That's great. I want you to really brush up all on the Meta Advantage Plus first. That's something that we hear about all the time. Everyone is recommending. So it is something I want you to start with. And also AI in terms of like how Meta is utilizing AI to help brands now and how we can tap into that. So what's your overall opinion on Vantage Plus campaigns?
Yeah, I mean, so the whole notion of A plus, when you start out, like last year, and of course, like when the whole notion of A plus started,
Mhm.
like every A plus campaign was working just because it was a new product of Meta and they were just pushing it very hard. Like the A plus versus the manual BAU campaigns, A plus were always going, like they were always overperforming. But what we were finding out, like for the last couple of months, I'll say, like after Q4, for most brands, we've transitioned. Like I believe, like A plus is mostly like 20% of the spend on our accounts, and this is because, and I'm talking about like the whole like A plus campaign, right? Of course, we're using A plus targeting on the normal BAU campaigns as
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
because it's just broad and it just works really well. But the whole notion of A plus, I believe it's like when you hard cap it, it's just like it's just not going to give you, like if you put like 0% cap and you go for like full like new customer acquisition, it's just not going to perform that well. And
Mhm.
if you just let it loose, it's just going to do a lot of remarketing, and then
Exactly.
you're going to get a lot of over attribution. And I haven't found like the sweet spot. yet. So that's why I keep like a very, very low percentage of budget. In
Mhm.
majority of the budget now goes towards like CBO, BAU, and ABO, BAU for testing. So those are kind of like the core. And I'll say this, that we have like very small percentage of accounts that they're just having like a very, very high, let's say
Mhm.
like margin excess 85%, that we are scaling with A plus zero cap just because those particular brands have a lot of margin and they can operate at a lower ROAS, and therefore we're just scaling spend pretty aggressively there.
Got it, got it. And did you find any instances where it was like using Advantage Plus versus the classical setup did outperform, or really the question should be like, did it actually bring any incremental value to the account compared to the classic setup? And
Mm-hmm.
that's a really nuanced situation, and it's also very hard to measure this, like how to really detect if it actually brought some incremental new customers that you wouldn't get elsewhere.
Yeah.
Was that the situation?
Yeah, at the beginning it was like, at the beginning it was like pretty effective, but then I believe like everyone was just starting using it. I'm not like a big fan of it anymore. Like I'm not seeing like that amazing value that it was delivering back in the day. But when it was like when the product first released, we find like a lot of seeing like zero point 0.5 or like 1x ROAS relatively to
Mhm.
comparing that to the standard BAU campaigns. But now like they either underperforming and they're doing mostly remarketing. And like if you break your columns into and kind of like compare your attribution settings as well, like you will see with A plus, I'm just seeing a lot of also view conversions,
Mhm.
view through report conversions as well.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like problematic, especially if you have an account that's already working like pretty flawlessly with standard setup.
Exactly. And also, like in my opinion, also I'm not a super big fan of Advantage Plus. Same with PMAX. I talked with this at Frantoni last time. Same thing. I'm not a super big fan for. I know it's the future. I know it's heading there. I know one day you will wake up. There is nothing else. That's the only campaign you'll get. Until then, I think there's still a lot of value into getting things into your own hand and really managing things like your way and controlling things in a better way, especially in terms of creative testing. It's very difficult to do with Adventure Plus. I know it's doable, but I still prefer the classic structure. And as you
Yeah.
said, that you'll get a lot of view through conversions uh, compared to the other campaigns.
Yeah. And also like if you see it, like you can see like A plus is all over your ad account like right now. Like A plus targeting, let's say it exists already. It already exists in your
Exactly. That was also something I wanted to say. Like Advantage Plus is integrated into also the classic setup. It's also integrated into you can select it as a targeting option. If
yeah.
so, I'm not 100% sure in terms of differences, how much it's different from like a normal CBO campaign. What differences do you find between the two in terms of like the algorithm? Is there something like fundamentally different between the two?
I'll say like with CBO, you can't have more stuff segmented, but you can still give the algorithm most of the control, which is good, right? But you still like you can also play with minimums, right? Minimum
Mhm.
spends too, and you can like force spend to specific concepts that you have already segmented into your
Mhm.
own CBO. So that's why we like CBO. Like we like it mostly for scaling. If we are in the US, if we're advertising in the US. For local markets, like European local markets, we like to have CBO in everything because overlap is really like atrocious. Like when the market
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
small, like Australia or some local European country, we like to do like CBO with everything because we've seen every time we just try to stack campaigns,
Mhm.
um, all the other campaigns are just underperforming the overall.
Exactly. This is also a huge problem also on PMAX, same thing on Google side, because it's the same philosophy. It takes down all the other campaigns with it. So same thing with Advantage Plus. If you run it, it will take over the other campaigns, especially in terms of remarketing. If you're running in separate campaigns for remarketing, it will like really suck up the spend and take the credit for it. You see, oh god, this is amazing campaign, 10x or 20. It takes all the credit. And that's the hard part.
I'll say like the most exciting. I think like I just woke up today, honestly, and I saw like a new feature was unlocked on my A plus campaigns, and I immediately started launching it on all the accounts. It's the incremental optimization attribution.
Yes. Yes.
So this is new to Meta, and I believe this is going to drive. I don't think it's going to have like amazing results right out of the gate, but it's going to have the truest, most incremental results.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe this is going to drive better business outcomes at scale.
Yes.
So really excited to test it out.
Yeah. But for now, like, can you optimize for that option?
Yeah.
Is it something you can optimize for it? It's not
Yeah.
like just like the attribution 7 days. It's also in the or you can optimize for that.
Yeah. So essentially, like on where you have the attribution, like 7-day click, 1-day view, or 7-day click, 1-day view, 1-day engage view, you have incremental attribution. And this is like kind of like the system optimized for the most incremental conversion.
Yeah.
So
I heard of that.
more top funnel targeting.
Exactly. And I think the way they are doing it is like kind of geo holdout studies. It's similar. I'm not sure if it's the exact same thing, but I think in principle they just like kind of hold ads from specific regions and see how that impacts that region. For example, for the listeners, if you're running ads in USA, so it will hold out spend from New York, for example, for 1 day or something. Not the whole of New York, but as an example, and then it will measure how that impacted the conversions coming from there. But at the same time, maybe this is an option for bigger spenders, for people who are spending a lot more. It's difficult for people who are not spending that much. I think it will be very effective.
Yeah, I believe you need to spend at least 6 figures.
Exactly. And is there any case where you would recommend actually running Advantage Plus, either on its own or with the classic setup? If yes, when do you think that? Maybe for smaller advertisers? What do you think?
Yeah, I think for smaller advertisers that either don't have like a lot of creative output, for example. They don't have budget, or they don't have time to, allocate towards like finding out what works or getting into the account and just try to extract, like extra learnings from it. I believe A Plus is a great tool to just have it automated and just let it rip. And then whenever you are ready, just go ahead and just launch new ads into it. But yeah, I would definitely like recommend for anyone that spends like less, like has like low budget too, to just learn the tool to its depth.
I think that's a good recommendation. And this brings us back like to the creative testing also. Really want to explore this section also in depth. How important do you think is creative testing in driving results in 2025? What's your opinion on that compared to the setup and everything?
It's very, very important. It's one of the most important things that you need to be making for your ad account. But I'll say they need, like, your creative testing need to coexist with your marketing calendar and your overall business planning. Because if you just try and mindlessly, let's say you're doing like mid 6, high 6, or maybe like low 7 figures, like if you just try to manually mindlessly just try to evergreen your way to like just try to find like an ad that can spend 100,000, like I think that's not going to happen. I believe you need to just have a solid business plan. So how many promotions are you going to have each month, right? What are your highest margin items? How can you merchandise your account in a way that can support creative testing plus new product plus promotions, right? Because those are really, really important for your whole ad account to perform better. So I'll say, don't just try to throw ads into the account. Just try to build like a context within your business, right? And then just launch a lot of ads. So develop more offers, develop more moments for your business. This is like the only way I've found accounts that can do 3x ROAS like last year. This year we developed like a new moment and we're doing 11 at 40K spent. Crazy numbers. Building moments is like core priority for the business.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually the basics. Like that's the basics of marketing that a lot of business owners skip. Like you should have like a marketing plan. You should have like a marketing calendar that, like, for example, now there's the Mother's Day on April, like spring or Easter sale. There's a lot of moments that you can tap into, depending also on the nature of the business. If it's like more toward women, if it's more toward men, maybe something in November. So that's something that's super important that brands often like overlook, like when they're creating their marketing plan, or they don't have it at all. But at the same time, sometimes in the agency world, they're abdicating that responsibility to the marketing agency,
Mm-hmm.
even though the marketing agency is not necessarily responsible on the whole marketing funnel. It's doing Facebook ads or doing Google ads. That's a part of the whole digital marketing strategy. And the digital marketing strategy is also a part of the marketing strategy in branding. So it starts with marketing and branding, then digital marketing, then it's the job of the agency also to really execute on that. Of course, it also depends on the size of the business, depends on a lot of other factors where the agency can step in and really help that. If it sees it's lacking, then the agency will step in there and say, okay, we'll need to really think of offers here and how to incorporate that into our creatives. That's a good
Exactly.
point.
Yeah, so that's why like in our own agency, what we try to do is we try to educate all our clients towards this concept. So essentially, we will have like we are going to build a marketing calendar with them. We're going to build
Exactly.
all like quarterly. We're going to build all the moments we have for the business, right? And then we know as an agency, we know how many creatives we can deploy, right? For
Mhm.
what moments and what like can we do in order to maximize efficiency and scale, right?
Exactly.
And then like the other part is that we can like if the client doesn't have the budget to hire like a big like creative agency to do creative production, then this is where like our knowledge, like we can provide creative strategy initiatives to then for the founder to go and shoot like videos that are going to speak to a specific cohort that we believe we're missing in the ad.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, it's crucial. It's critical that the agency is working with the client to really educate them on how important is this, and also to guide them through the process. And see, that's really the value of an agency is they've seen a lot of accounts, they've seen a lot of brands, they know what works in specific niches, compared to, for example, a smaller brand that's just trying to understand the market, trying to understand the moment, trying to understand what works best for them. And that's still like the main value of an agency, like them working, having experience in multiple situations, and really bringing that experience to the client. One thing I want to ask you about, like the moments and the offers. There are a lot of brands also I worked with, and also in general, that maybe don't want to be salesy if you want. Don't want to run a lot of sales. Maybe they want to run one or two sales per year, or even if they're considered themselves luxury, they don't want to run any sales. Like, how would you handle this situation and create like really novelty and new moments for them?
Yeah. So w- we need to go back to the forecast. So essentially, if a brand is coming to us and tell us, hey, I want to grow 250% this year. Okay, we did 2 million this month. I want to do six, let's say this
Mhm.
year. And we'll
Mhm.
go back to our efficiency of last year. What was the efficiency? What was the spend? And then we'll go and see like what are the missed opportunities that we had in terms of our
Mhm.
marketing calendar. But then like if they cannot sacrifice efficiency inside their ad account, if I go ahead and increase spend, the efficiency will go down. So ROAS
Yeah,
will go down,
yeah,
right? If they cannot live with that or they don't have the margins to do that, then guess what needs to happen? We need to increase conversion rate for the first time buyers. And
mhm.
there's no better predictable way to increase conversion rate for net new customers like by just running deals, offers, pushing marketing moments for longer. So for example, our Easter sale for all our clients was a 15-day period sale. It wasn't like a 3-day or a 1-day sale. It was a
Mhm.
15-day. We wanted to
Mhm.
give the account the opportunity to breathe and essentially capture like the entire moment. So when I hear those from the customers, it's either okay, we can keep the same setup. Either if we want to grow, we can spend more, but we need to sacrifice efficiency and profitability.
Mhm.
Every time I've tried to test like a lot of different creative or like just do a lot of creative testing, haven't I haven't find like a data sample that can tell me that I can grow by 250% with the same efficiency. I can do
Mm-hmm.
creative testing to essentially just try to maybe save the efficiency a little bit, but the efficiency will drop. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
it. So I
Yeah.
rather just educate the client that Meta is a direct to response platform. It's not your brand building, so to say. You can go brand building and go to Times Square and go through to like a big billboard and just do
Mm-hmm.
advertising. But Meta can build your brand by two ways. Like can get more products to your customers if you treat it the right way, which is have more marketing moments, build more relevant creative around those moments and your product. And when your customers have your product, you build brand by default, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly. Like every building brand is every interaction they have with your business, every interaction they have with your ads, with the product itself, with your social media, all of that is brand building. So for any brand, at least like doing less than 1 million or even maybe 10 million per year, I don't think it's a good idea to really put a lot of thought into just brand building as it is in terms of like running brand building campaigns. I would still invest like in brand building activities in terms of like incorporating the brand into the website, into the messaging, into the that's something you should be doing from day one. And even more if you're a business over $1 million per year. You should be thinking really hard about how to incorporate and how to be really unique in your brand messaging in the product experience, in your social media, in your website and everything. But don't put a lot of investment in terms of like just running brand campaigns. Like don't pay an influencer, I don't know, $500,000 just to put a post and get, I don't know, maybe $50,000 of sales. Not a good ROI. No, it's not a good ROI. Horrible ROI. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, it depends like what you want as a business. Like Meta is not a magic wand. You need to have a certain type of business to. You need to treat it the right way to get the efficiency that you want. If you
exactly.
want to build a brand, just go and just raise another round of VC and just spend money. Don't expect to have crazy returns. You're going to be unprofitable, but if that's what you want, you can definitely like try it.
Yeah, I think the brands that are really successful in the industry are the brands that are really truthful and honest with themselves on what they can expect and what the results that they can generate from Meta or from whatever activity. They have reasonable expectations, and also they have built a really strong business that can withstand the storms and not really live with a relatively reasonable return on ad spend, which is, for example, 2.5 or 3 or 2 even. So the brands that can live with that and really thrive, and how they do that, in my experience, is actually they have been like really a good returning customer rate. So people are returning and buying again their products because they're loving them organically without even ads. Really strong emails, marketing strategy.
Yes.
So it's all fits together into a nice real picture.
Mhm.
And when people come back from other channels, like from Google, from it's not just like Meta and that's it. They will pay Meta to like become a millionaire or something. It's
Yeah,
a it's a
definitely. And
complicated process. It's a complicated process. Coming back like really to the I want to really come back quickly to the technical part of the testing
Mhm.
in terms of like how do you go about that, like how do you test in abo campaigns, you test one ad per one ad set per ad, when do you kill the campaigns, like what's your thinking behind it?
Yeah, so we usually test on ABO campaigns. We try to have one broad ad set per concept. Sometimes we'll do mixed concepts together because like we want like the ABO to have at least 4 to 6 assets into any ABO campaign. And then what we will try to do is to have just one concept per ABO.
Mm-hmm.
We really like to just wait a little bit more if we don't have like a third party software with the client. We definitely like give the ad set a solid 3 to 4 days to optimize. We usually look at CPA. If the CPA exceeds let's say like 3 times the target, if I get let's say like 3 times my target CPA, and I see no indications of this particular ad set to be successful, I'll just go through the elimination process. I'll just pause any ads that get spent and don't have the efficiency. I'll just let the others kind of like get a little bit of spend before I take the final decision to essentially pause the ad set. But the rule of thumb is 2 to 3 times your target CPA. You also check your bottom funnel metrics. I'm not really a big fan of looking CTRs and cost per clicks because those are subjective to change. And like most times when the ad set is a winner and gets more downward pressure and scale, those metrics will look worse just because it gets more scale. And so I'm really like a big fan of looking kind of like, okay, the CPA, what's the CPA is, and then see the checkouts and cost per checkout, add to carts and cost per add to carts, because those can give me an indication. If like the cost per checkout is excellent, then I could give it a little bit more leeway to see what's going to happen.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. That's very similar to what I'm doing. Very, very similar. The way I'm looking into it. Well, I want to make some clarifications for our listeners. Number one is about like the concept. So the concept, I think, Kostas here means like a concept can be multiple ads. So one concept can be multiple ad creatives. It's not like one concept equal one ad creative, but it's the same. It's within the same idea, within the same angle, within the same marketing angle. Maybe the same content creator. Maybe it's the same setup, the same product, of course. So it's very similar elements, but maybe testing it a slightly different way. Maybe the font is in a specific area of the screen. Maybe there is slight variations within that ad to really give the ad the maximum impact. So that's number one clarification I want to make. And also the in terms of the rule of 2 to 3x CPA, target CPA, that's the same I use. The only caveat to that is some clients may have a really high target CPA. So some clients will have really high IUV. So the target CPA will be 200 or 300. In that case, we might be looking into 1.5 target CPA. So if an ad spent already $300 and it still didn't really get any ads to cart, any valuable data, then we will turn it off. While if it's a really low AOV products, like around $50 or something, or even $30, we might give it like 3x, even go and like even maybe 4x if it's a really low AOV before deciding. And as you said, you can already start looking at some micro data like ads to cart, begin checkout, things like that. Maybe also CTR sometimes if there is not enough data or the account is still fresh, you will be forced to look at those data because those are the only data points you have at that.
Yeah. Another
So
thing, like
that's
I want to mention, like on that side of things is also like I'm still like experimenting a lot of like with accounts that are fully cost controlled. So essentially like full cost caps for all the accounts. So we'll still have 2 clients that are spending like 6 figures. That all the account is either like optimized for target ROAS or cost caps, and essentially we have a new campaign for a new concept. So essentially, instead of having like everything consolidated in one ABO, we will have like 50 campaigns live at the same time. And again, like it depends on the account. It's a little bit more complicated structure to kind of like say and explain on the podcast, but it's very interesting because it works.
on the cost cap part, I want to really brush back into that super quickly. How do you find that effectiveness, and when do you think it's a good idea to use? Is this more on the small account? Is there a spend threshold? When do you think, okay, there's no need to really use it now? Is it like 10K per month, 100K per month? Like how effective that been for you as a tool?
Yeah. So I was under the notion that you need to spend more to make cost caps work, but I decided to give it like a shot on a very small client. It spends like 5K per month. It's a fashion client, and we started full cost controls, and it works. Just have like really good results. Like you need to inflate your cap at the beginning, and you need to inflate your budget a little bit at the beginning to get some traction. But after a while, it gets really consistent, and you try to compress it, and you try to put it closer to your target, and it becomes more and more efficient and more predictable over time too. Because when you see your spend and your scale just it getting compressed and gets lower over time, you get a notion, you get the idea that, well, I need more creatives, or I need more moments for my business. And so this is like an indicator as well that it's not the account's fault that you cannot scale, but probably is because of the ability that you haven't produced a lot of assets or marketing moments.
Exactly. That's correct. That's correct. So that's good. Yesterday I was browsing LinkedIn and I came across this new software. I don't know if you heard of it. It's called Icon.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Icon. I really want to get your take on that. Like it creates the ads for you on AI. It optimizes everything. It also do creative testing for you, which is related to what we're talking about now. It takes like the best angles and then recreates some ad using the Chat GPT image generator. Now that's really making waves into the industry. So what do you think about this and like the future of media buying as this regard? What's the role of AI in creative testing?
Yeah, it's such a great question. I was actually like looking at that software like earlier today.
Okay.
So I've made like some research around it. Some people say that's still really clunky. So it's not like doesn't work as well as they portrayed
Right.
it.
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
But I haven't seen like with the innovation of AI, I imagine like in 6 to 12 months time it will work like pretty good. And I believe everybody will have its own CMO,
Yeah.
that can
Yeah.
take decisions. But again, like we've seen, even though like we are managing accounts on a day to day, like you can see meta outage, right? Like you can see meta problems every day. You can see like bugs all over like the place. So having like another machine managing your entire account for you, it's a little bit scary because if something goes wrong, like what are the necessary steps it needs to
Yeah.
take to fix the performance. So that's what I'm
Yeah.
looking to see. But definitely, like I believe it's going to be a very useful, very.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think the role of agencies and media buyers will be more on the strategic side rather than just execution. Where we will move up the ladder of thinking into from just execution into really strategy. I think that's and also incorporating like the human elements into it, really bringing that human into really is the messaging really to resonate with our audience or not. So there still need to be a human to judge the efficiency and also is it sticking to our principles or maybe is it saying something wrong. AI is also very is can be sometimes it can be wrong in a lot of things. It can give you false facts. It doesn't really have a concept of facts. So that's something really important to keep a mind on before like just running loose. But I still wanted to get your opinion into like, are you guys as an agency using AI in your day to day in terms of like actually getting creatives, video, and images? How's that looking?
We're using AI for 3 layers of our business. So we're using it for research, so cohorts, angles, all that's good stuff.
Good,
We're
yeah.
using it for image generation, and we're using it for forecasting and analysis. So
Yeah.
because like we're also like very deep involved into our customers' financials,
Hmm.
contribution margin, revenue, all that stuff. So we really
Hmm.
like to try to make different models for their business as well. So we try to make different models, and then we put our buyers or the growth strategists will go in and just fix some parts of the forecast. But those are kind of like the 3 pillars we use like AI for.
Exactly, exactly. I'm trying to get also my team to really incorporate that into their day-to-day process. And we're also trying to get at least one per week, get a new image ad and a new video ad. For image ads, like the AI generator from ChatGPT is really great. It's really great for image ads. It's ready to go to the field. It's ready to go to the battle.
It is.
That's something we're testing. Still didn't test it on a large enough scale to really see how that's effective versus our regular ads, but it's something we're planning. In terms of video, it's still really not there yet. It's still not, the physics are not correct, especially in terms of like physics, not especially in terms of like looks. It looks good, but the interaction of objects with each other is not there yet. I'm talking in particular about Sora, the model of ChatGPT. There is this new model called Kling. That one is good, but it's not ready to use. But in a couple of years, I think it will be. It will create really massive impact across all industries, even our industry and even like movies and whatever. But I think at the end of the day, people will still want to hear from people. They want to see people. They want to connect with people. I think that's something that we won't lose unless there is a Terminator situation and AI decide to.
That's why seeding. That's why product seeding is also very important. Gifting your products to influencers and your customers too.
Yeah.
Like getting your product to their hands. Like one of our brands that saw like really nice success last year. It was because it was targeting like mothers and was giving to them like their product, and they were super excited. They were creating content around it, and we took that content and we repurposed that content for ads. And so
Yeah.
people will still need to hear from people for sure, and build those communities and grow, because like ads is just like a fraction. It's just a small part of the brand growth.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there is also a dark side to all of this. Like a while ago, I was scrolling on YouTube and I see this like kind of a scam where there's this brand, they're selling like leather bags or something. They have this grandmas and they're creating this fake story about like how this grandma is going to retire and buy this bag now, and they have all these fake AI reviews. So they are really creating this complicated business around, but the product itself is really low quality, and people are complaining about it. So this is also a really dark side of this technology. It's going to create a lot of mistrust, but at the same time, I think the brands that are going to win and people that are going to win are people who create more trust or really are trustworthy. That will be the currency of the future, is like trust.
Yeah. I believe like in the next couple of years, I think this is going to be more of a problem, because I see that on investments, for example. Like people are creating all sorts of scams through YouTube ads and other stuff. They're using like some credible person to run some crypto scam, for example. So I think some sort of new like regulation will come to place if this
Yeah,
becomes like.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There will need to be a regulation in place in Meta, in YouTube. Anything AI needs to be disclosed before. That needs to be enforced. I know Meta and the other platforms don't really want to do this now because they are milking views out of it. They want people engagement. So they don't really enforce that too much. But I think that's something that will be really enforced in the future. I think we don't have a lot of time left, only 2 minutes. So maybe we'll use that time, Kostas. I'll ask you maybe about, let's say, 3 mistakes that you see people, either brands or media buyers or agency, making in their Meta ad accounts.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm a strong believer that every ad account is different, right? And so there are like very obvious mistakes, but I believe like you just every ad account is different. For example, like I believe like the mistake that every media buyer is doing, that they're just trying to manually hack the platform, which is they're probably going to run any reach campaigns, traffic campaigns, brand awareness campaigns, and then we'll try to retarget that traffic. That was a strategy that was working like years upon years, right? Yeah, so that's like one for like the media buyers. Like you don't need any other purchase, like you don't need any other campaign objective. If you're selling products, you only need purchase. Like you
Yeah.
need nothing. And I'll say like agencies just need to be more like, they just need to give more context around their case studies. Also, they need to give more context around the work they are going to be doing, because like again, like if a brand is on a GLP-1, let's say Ozempic space, health and wellness, like you'll never going to drive a 10x ROAS at scale,
Yeah.
right? Agencies need to be more realistic and kind of like communicate the expectations a little bit better, and have like deep knowledge into their customers' financials to drive success, because ROAS is just not a measurement of success.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'll say
There are better.
trainers, you just need to think, you just need to get out of the ad account and just try to build business attributes that the media buyer or the agency can deploy inside the ad account to scale.
And just basically just focus on their business, like build a better business, build a profitable business. If you do that, like you will make it easier for the agency to help you to scale. That's it. Like build better margins, better operations, better suppliers, better marketing fundamentals, branding. If you do that, you'll make it a lot easier for the agency to help you to get to your goal. So that's really great advice, Kostas. I think that's really good. Our listeners, I think, will love this podcast. I also really enjoyed it. I really hoped we had a bit more time to discuss, but maybe we can bring you for a part two.
We
So
should. We should definitely
yeah,
do that again, man. We should
yeah.
definitely do it again. We have so like you just cannot, talk about meta for just an hour.
Yeah, definitely. You can talk for it for days. But that's been a really fun hour, and I also really enjoyed it and really learned a lot. So maybe can you tell people where they can find you, reach out to you? What's the best place to reach out?
Definitely. So LinkedIn is the best place to reach me with my name, Kostas Fargoulias, Kostas Fragoulias, for people that kind of listening to us. And yeah, say LinkedIn is the
Great.
best way to find me.
That's great. I will link it in the description, either in Spotify or YouTube, so people can easily click that. So it's really was a great talking to you, Kostas. And for our listeners, that's it. So thanks for tuning into the DTC Blueprint podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow the show, leave a review, share it with a friend, and see you on the next one.